Hello fellow crafters and welcome to episode 26 of the Crochet Cakes podcast. My name is Clarissa and I am your host for each and every episode of this podcast. Sometimes I'm joined by a co-host and we'll be talking a little bit about that later on in the episode. You can find me as Crochet Cakes on Instagram and Ravelry here on YouTube. You can also join the Crochet Cakes podcast group in Ravelry, and there you will be able to find information on cows and show notes, which I have not posted for the previous episode, and I do apologize. I've been meaning to post it for a while, and I guess life just keeps getting in the way. So yeah, I hope you have had a good past couple of weeks. It was Mother's Day the previous week. I hope that all you mothers out there had wonderful time, whether it was hanging out with family, crafting, or just doing things you enjoyed. And speaking of Mother's Day, I hope you guys enjoyed the Mother's Day special I recorded with my mom. We had a lot of fun filming the special for you guys, and I think you can tell how much fun we had based on the outtakes and just the general attitude we had while filming the episode. I spent Mother's Day weekend with my mom, obviously, and I also spent it baking cakes. I baked 2 cakes, one of which you will have seen in the beginning of this podcast. That was a strawberry bunt cake. It came out really good, and unfortunately I made so much cake we had to freeze an entire cake because I just didn't sell the cake, guys. I don't know what happened. But yeah, other than that, I have to say it's been a bit of a crummy week other than that, because I don't know, sometimes you just have those weeks where everything's fine and you're happy-go-lucky, and sometimes there's just weeks that you're like, why? Why do I even bother doing this? Or why am I doing that? And I just had one of those weeks, but we're all human. We can't all be all happy, all go lucky all the time. But that is also why I am recording on a Sunday. Today is Sunday the 21st of May, instead of my usual Saturday, because yesterday I didn't feel up to podcasting. I wanted to give you 100% of myself, or at least 95% of myself, and yesterday I was just like at 50% at most. But I went to a chocolate festival with my boyfriend and some friends, and even though the chocolate festival itself was a huge disappointment, everything else was great, because in the chocolate festival we were expecting like a huge chocolate fountain. They were trying to set the Guinness World Record for the biggest hot chocolate cup in the world, and we were expecting to see that big hot chocolate cup. But we didn't. So we're like, how is this gonna work? But other than that, we had a grand time, and I feel 95% myself right now. So it's great. It means I can share stuff with you guys. The crafting community has been very active these past couple of weeks. Lots of crochet alongs and knit alongs and make alongs are happening. Some are ending. Like, I know the Be Happy Make Along by Jules from So Sweet Violet, that is ending. But the Harry Potter Knit Along from Katie from Inside Number 23 is still going on strong. Catherine from Crafternoons Treats is going to be hosting a Finish Things Along. And Faye from the Crochet Circle podcast is also going to be hosting a Finish Things Make Along. Speaking of Faye, she did comment that she has almost everything set up for the global crochet crafting night, so that's great. That's really exciting, and I can't wait because there are some people that I really want to see again, given that Yarndale is kind of like a no-go, at least for this year, and I really want to see a lot of my fellow crafters from around the world again. And what other crochet alongs? Alison and Vivian from the Keep Calm and Carry Yarn podcast are hosting a kind of knitters versus crocheters competition, and they explain it much better than I will, but the idea is to keep track of the yardage and add that to a meter. They'll sum it up, and by the end of it, we'll see who wins, either knitters or crocheters. Right now, I think the knitters are winning, so crocheters out there, join the Ravelry group, keep track of your yardage. I'm also speaking to myself because I'm horrible at keeping track of my yardage, so I'm sorry, Alison. I'm going to try and be better at that. And I know there's really important... Oh, the Move Along hosted by Kristen from the Yarngasm podcast and somebody else whose name has completely escaped my mind. I'm sorry. I wanted to join that one as well, and I'm being very ambitious here because I want to join every single knitting, crochet, make-along out there, and that's just not happening. I did manage to start one for the Move Along. We'll be discussing that in later detail later on in the podcast. There's also the Summer Garment Cowl hosted by Joanne from Opera Jo, and I have a bit of a conundrum with that one because you guys remember that I wanted to enter the linen peplum top, which I've got here sitting in this bag anyway. Well, Mom and I, she tried it on. I think she fits twice in it. So we just decided we're gonna frog it, we're gonna do something else with the yarn, and I started another project for that knit along, crochet along. But more on that later on in the podcast as well. And last but not least, grammar. Claudia from the Crochet Luna podcast and I will be hosting a crochet along, knit along cal. K-A-L-C-A-L, whichever one you want to do. And it's the Summer of Love cal, summer romance actually. And we've managed to create a hashtag for it, and the hashtag is #SRCAL. And we had a very hard time deciding what hashtag to come up with. They all sounded not like a crochet along, basically. And so it's Summer Romance Cal. That's basically what we've come up with. And the idea behind it is that you pick a couple that you really like, that inspires you from books, movies, or TV shows, and you knit or crochet something based on that couple. So it can be the name of the yarn that's, for example, Beauty and the Beast. Maybe the yarn's named Beauty and the Beast, so you're doing something in honor of Beauty and the Beast. Or you decide to use colors that represent your couple or patterns that represent your couple. Whichever one of those, you're good to go. Whips are welcome as long as you are no more than 50% through, because I know some people got really excited and they started theirs. I was going to be guilty of the same thing, but I haven't been because my yarn hasn't arrived yet. So I will be hosting the finished objects thread for that cowl, and Claudia will be hosting the chatter thread for the cowl. And I'm really excited about it. I purchased some yarn for my couple, and the yarn, I bought it from Petra from Made by Black Elephant. She's a British-based indie dyer. And the yarn is called Sticks. I think I mentioned it in the previous podcast that Mom and I were discussing how would a person that smells like eucalyptus actually smell like, and I said healthy. Well, why did I choose it? Because, can you guys see? This is a book, written by Sherilyn Kenyon from the Dark Hunter series, and it Sticks. It's a really thick book. The book has been treated kindly. It just cost me $2 in Barnes & Nobles because, well, it's got the yellowy pages, but I can read it. It's got... How many pages is it? Let's see how many pages it is. Oh, look, 834 pages. I must admit that with this book and with Acheron, they're past is heartbreakingly horrible. So I usually start reading sticks like here. Yeah, my heart can't take so much heartbreak, I have to admit. But the couple that from Sticks is Sticks, the name of the yarn, and Bethany. She is his wife, and she's a goddess. Yay. So yeah, that's gonna be my couple, or at least one of my couples, because you can enter more than one object. Of course you can. The thing is that you have to say where your inspiration came from. So for my finished object, I will put the yarn is called Sticks, and it's based on the characters. I was inspired by Sticks and Bethany from the book titled Sticks from the Dark Hunter series. Get the idea? Am I explaining myself correctly here? I hope I am. So yeah, the other thing before I forget that I wanted to mention is that Mom Made May 2017 is going strong. I've had some people participate, and it's exciting to see all the things you make with it. I know I've missed a couple of days here and there, but some days I wake up late and I forget to actually look for an item that Mom has made for me. Oh, and if you guys can see this in the background, yeah, this is my Hotel of Bees shawl, and I made it for Mom. It was her Mother's Day gift, and she was really happy with it. And this one back here is one that Mom made. I don't remember if she ever actually talked about it in the podcast, and this is the snow melt shawl that Mom knit, and it's beautiful. She made it with Catherine's yarn from Crafternoon Treats. Oh, one important thing I forgot to mention, the cowl runs from the 3rd of June, my cowl, Claudia's, our cowl, runs from the 3rd of June to the 5th of August. Plenty of time. At least that's what I keep telling myself. Right, so now that we've chatted along about how we've been, I think it's time to actually start with the crafty, knitty goodness of this podcast. I haven't done a lot of crafting as I usually would because, as I mentioned, I was feeling very blech, and that kind of just led to me not wanting to even craft or crochet or knit. So I kept starting different projects. I did manage to finish 2 things. One of them I don't actually have it here with me to show you, so I'll just pop up a picture so you can know what I'm talking about. And I decided to make a little crochet clutch from some chunky yarn scraps that I had, and I made the clutch and I followed Rosina's, who's Zines and Roger pretty much everywhere. I followed her tutorial on how to insert a zip and a lining for the bag, and it was just really great. It was really easy gift. It just took me one evening, maybe a bit more, because I was scared to actually start sewing in the zip, but no harm done. It was pretty awesome, I have to say, because you finish something really fast and you can give it as a gift, because it could be, since it's lined, you could use it as a notions pouch, or you can use it as a cosmetics bag. Just take your pick. So yeah, if you're looking for something really quick and easy and fun to make, then I would encourage you to follow Rosina's tutorial for a crocheted bag, because she does it really tiny one for a sample, but you can make it bigger. So what I did with mine, I did a chain of 22, and then I single crocheted 21, went over, did 3, came back again, and then I had 3 here, 3 here. You know, you can't just go around the chain, and then I just did it round and round and round. I didn't even join or anything. And I did it, as you can see, 2 colors. I had some The black at the bottom, that's Lion Brand Woolies Thick and Quick. I think it's Galactic or Galaxy. I really like that one. And the top one is the Wild Yarn from the Plymouth Yarn Company, which was left over from the Cruella de Vil sweater that I made, if you remember. I made that for my sister. I'm not sure she uses it though. I'll have to ask her one day. So that's finished object number 1. And finished object number 2 is this lovely gorgeousness. It's a hat, because you can't tell it's a hat, right guys? Let me put it on for you. It's the angel hat pattern, which is designed by Kay, who is one half of the Bakery Bears. And the pattern, I just wanted something quick, maybe not quick, but certainly easy, and something that I could work on and I wouldn't really have to think. So it's a free pattern. I'm not giving anything away by actually talking about all the pattern in details. You just do a one by one rib, so knit 1, purl 1, rib, and then the pattern goes knit 1, purl 1 2 times. So 2 rows of knit 1, purl 1, and then 1 row of purls, and it just gives you such a lovely, lovely texture, and it's so springy. The yarn is Little Bean Loves in her Moony colorway, and this is 100% worsted. I really, really like the squishiness of the yarn. It's just 100% merino. And look at those decreases. I actually really love everything about this hat except the 1 by 1 rib, because that just always drives me insane doing a 1 by 1 brim. But just given the gorgeous texture of it, I feel like making another one. The reason this one doesn't have a pom-pom is because I haven't decided if I'm going to give it to a guy or a girl. You know, some guys are not cool with pom-poms. So, yeah. But if I were to put on a pom-pom, I would not make it out of the leftover yarn. This leftover yarn is going into my Harry Potter blanket, which I haven't given up on it, but it's just so hot, guys. Like, you wouldn't believe. It's melting, sweltering hot. I feel like the Wicked Witch of the West every time I go out, and I have to say, I'm melting. So that is why I have not worked on my Harry Potter blanket, but I have been collecting leftover yarns. So yeah, I really, really recommend this pattern. It's the Angel Hat pattern by Kay Jones, who's one half of the Bakery Bears, like I said, and it's a free pattern, and it's gorgeous, and it's very, just, you know, comfortable. It's very comfy. The pattern is written for either Aran weight or worsted weight yarn, so if you're looking for a quick knit, I fully recommend it, even though it took me longer than that because I was just working on it in small intervals. Right, so what else am I doing? Well, I mentioned the clutch and I mentioned the hat. Those are my only 2 finished objects. Oh, this will probably be going into the Fog Along, which is a knit along, crochet along, which is being hosted by the Bakery Bears. It's for patrons, and the idea is to keep track of your, each project assigns you a specific amount of miles that you add to compete with the runners and the knitters. And it'll also be going into the Harry Potter Cal hosted by Katie from Inside Number 23 because it's Moony, and we all know Moony is Lupin, right? So, on to things that I've actually been crocheting. Not much, guys, I have to admit, not much. In my lovely British bag, I call it my British bag, I've got a garment, which will be entered into the Summer Garment Cal hosted by Joanna from Opera Jo. And this is the top part of my garment. Yeah, it's called Quartz, and it's by Mermaid Cat Designs on Etsy. It's a paid for pattern, so I won't be talking too much about it. The one thing I will mention is that the pattern, it calls for DK weight yarn, and I'm using one of my favorite yarns, which is sadly discontinued. It's that, Frog-Tree Peekaboo, and it's 60% Pima cotton, 40% bamboo. If you're looking for something similar, I think you could use King Cole bamboo. I'm pretty sure it's also DK, but that one's 50% cotton, 50% bamboo. But I just love when yarn has bamboo. I think it's so springy and light, and I absolutely adore it. But back to this pattern. So every single piece in the pattern is crocheted separately, and then you sew it together. Seam it together, sew it together, whatever you want to do. And the idea that I had was that I wanted to make the quartz top, which I'll insert a picture of it here so you can actually have an idea of what I'm talking about. But I wanted to make it longer because it's very cropped. Wanted to make it longer to actually make a dress using this yarn from Crafternoon Treats, and it's chartreuse, a pale but vibrant green, and it's 90% Romney lamb's wool and 5% BFL and 5% Shetland. I love Catherine's yarn. I think I've established that previously. So I was going to make a dress, and also with the color Streetwise, which is speckly purple, really pretty. But I don't think I'm going to have enough yarn, because these 50-gram balls, I had 5 of them, and each part of the shirt takes one 50-gram ball. So I think that's just going to cut me off short, and I won't be able to actually make a dress because I wanted to start this color a bit below the waist. So what I think I'm going to do is just make the quartz top as is, maybe a little bit longer so it's not cropped. Well, I know I'm going to make it longer because I don't want it that cropped. I'm not that brave. And toying with the idea of using this yarn to make a cardigan or make a skirt. I'm undecided which of them I will be doing. But I really recommend the quartz pattern. It's lovely. It's written very clearly. She provides pictures for every step of the way, so each pattern is about 21 pages long. Or is it? No, it's like 50 pages long, because she puts pictures of almost every section until you get the idea, and then she'll just give the instructions. So for the first 15 rows, your repeats are followed by pictures, so you know which side you're supposed to be working on, how all your stitches are supposed to be looking like. So it's very pretty. And I've done the front, as you can see here. This is the front, which I will be adding to later. And I've done one sleeve already. So the sleeve has this gorgeous, can you guys see? If I pull it apart, look at that lacy design. It's just beautiful. I really, really like it. And I have started my second sleeve. So that's the progress on this shirt. This will be entered into the summer garment cowl and into the follow-along. It's not mauve, so I can't enter it into the mauve-along, but this has been my only focus in crochet, and I really like it. I'm really enjoying it, and it's something that I can just sit down and work on it. It's you do have to keep a little bit of track of your stitch count, because you're supposed to be forming, at least on the sleeves, you're supposed to be forming the little beautiful kind of diamond lacy shape. So just keep track of that and it'll be fine. I think I'm a quarter of the way through with the second sleeve, and then you join the sleeves and you work on the top part of your shirt. So I can't wait to try and see if I can join the sleeves this weekend. I'm not sure because I'm heading to the theatre later on. It's a theatre, but we're going to watch a movie because it's a refurbished theatre and they do best-selling movies. They show them in the theatre. Does that make sense? I don't know. So really enjoying working on this project. And the other two projects I'm working on are actually knitting projects. So I know I mentioned that I was probably not going to knit a pair of socks for a while. Well, my sister, she asked me if I could knit her another pair of socks, and I was like, Okay, I can't deny that. You know, if somebody asks for a pair of socks, I can't say no. I'm off them. So I bought the Regia. I bought it. I showed you this previously. It's just wonderful, kind of russet brown color with spots of pink and yellows. Really like it. Really like the feel of the yarn. It's like opal. It feels very sturdy, and like I can walk with my pair of socks and I don't need to treat them as gently as other wools, I guess. And I am knitting these on my trusty dusty 9-inch circular needles. These are my Chiagus. I really wish I'd bought more of these at the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, because I do not want to knit socks on anything but Chiagu's 9-inch circulars. I still have my other wooden needles that I do have pairs of them, so I could potentially knit 2 at a time. Well, not 2 at a time, but you know, 2 consecutive socks, so I don't get second sock syndrome. But anyway, I am knitting these on 9-inch circulars as previously established, and this is the Hermione's Everyday Sock pattern by Erica Luder, who is Dreams and Fiber. And I love how the pattern is working up in this yarn. It really reminds me of Hermione, because Hermione is supposed to have brown hair with different highlights, different bushiness of brown, I guess you could call it. And I just did 15 rows of a 2x2 rib. These I'm doing 64 stitches because they're for my sister, and I think 64 stitches really fit her well. And she told me she liked the first pair of socks that I knit for her, and those were, I did 4 inches of leg before moving on to the heel. So I think I'm at 3.5 inches here. No, 3.25 inches. And I've done 6-7 pattern repeats. I'm actually writing the pattern repeats down so that I don't have one leg longer than the other. So yay! And these are living in this gorgeous bag that Faye so kindly gave to me. And it is enough to house a pair of socks in it. One ball, pair of socks. One ball in it. So there's that. And the other knitting project that I am working on is what I mentioned that I wanted to enter into the move along, and it's it's a bit more than cast on, but it's just tiny. This is will at some point in my life be the lineal cardigan by Hannah Fettig. The pattern is designed to be used with linen yarn. She specifically uses Quince & Co. Sparrow, which is their 100% organic linen yarn, but I really wanted to make a cardigan out of this. And this is the Hermione colorway from Little Bean Loves Hand Painted Yarns. This one is in a tweed base that she was trying out, and you guys remember that she sent me one as a gift, and I absolutely loved it. So I asked her if she still had some of the base left so that I could potentially buy more of it. So I ended up buying 2 skeins more, so I have 3. It should definitely be enough for the cardigan. I am making the second size, and I got gauge with the needles required, which are 3.25 needles. What I don't like is that every time I increase, I get that huge gaping hole right there, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm supposed to have right-leaning decreases, increases, and left-leaning increases. So I think I'm gonna watch some tutorials on how to make those increases again. Maybe I'm just doing something entirely wrong. I don't know. But I think I've got 13 rows of the pattern worked up. Yeah, so that won't be done for June, but you know, I'm having fun, and I had I told myself and I told mom that my goal was basically to cast on all the knitted things I wanted to work on at some point, so I could just have them all cast on and ready to go. That way when I actually decided, oh, I want to make a pair of socks, look, I've got 2 pairs of socks already cast on. You know, that type of thing, to actually encourage me to use a lot more of my stash than I'm using. Really, really love how the colors working up is just so subtle. And I wanted this to be a cardigan. It had to be a cardigan. It spoke cardigan. It sang cardigan. So yeah. And these little stitch markers are gifts from Petra from Made by Black Elephant. I don't know if she makes them or not, but they're lovely and they fit there. And this one was a gift from Faye. So yeah, just this one is just a slow going, but one day it will be a grand cardigan. So that is it for projects that I'm working on, and yeah, really is it for projects I've been working on. So that kind of just leads me to one thing that I should have probably mentioned at the beginning, and it's what I'm wearing. And what I'm wearing is, if you guys remember, I think it was episode 6, I was showing off my finished Sassy Librarian blouse, and just have a wee bit of a better look at it. I made this blouse using a Craftsy class, and it's the Sassy Librarian blouse, as I mentioned. That is the name of the pattern and the class as well. So if you look for Sassy Librarian blouse on Craftsy, you will be able to find it if you're interested in it. It's got 2 different specified patterns that you can make, and it's also got adjustments that you can make to each pattern to kind of, you know, just make it your own. I barely use this, which is sad because all the trouble I went through, this is my first ever sewn blouse, and I keep telling myself I should really make more. Maybe not this one, but other blouses, because it's getting to a point where I go to a store and I don't like anything. It's really getting to that point. But other Craftsy bits and bobs that I want to share with you. One of them is, it's also what I want to do, but it has to do with what I bought. So first up is this one. This is yarn that I bought from Catherine from Crafternoon Treats. She had these colors kind of available for the hobcowl, but I just wanted it for another shawl that I want to make, and it's the Ollivander shawl by Kay Jones, who, as previously mentioned, is one half of the Bakery Bears. Now, I chose these colors because they really remind me of unicorns. This color is Best Silk Lingerie, and it's just gorgeous peachiness with some spots of a grayish purple and a bit more purple here. It's beautiful, and as mentioned, it's Best Silk Lingerie, non-superwash British wool, 85% Romney lamb's wool, it's 5% BFL and 10% British alpaca. Now, honestly, I find this a bit scratchier than I normally would. For example, the yarn used here, which is 95% Romney lamb's wool, 5% Shetland. And that is because I find that I'm very sensitive to alpaca. I find alpaca very itchy. But since it's only 10%, I can put up with it. I can put up with it way better than if it's like 50% alpaca. And this color is Duck Egg. So they really reminded me of unicorns. When I think unicorns, I think pastels, lovely pastel colors, and I want to make an Ollivander shawl with them because It's called the Ollivander shawl, and the colors Kay used were a red and kind of gold because they reminded her of the phoenix core in Harry's wand. And these colors remind me of the unicorn hair core in Draco Malfoy's wand. So, yay! At some point in the future, probably when I finish making the cardigan. Or who knows, maybe I'll just cast it on and work a little bit on everything. Does that work? And the other thing I bought is from Forbidden Woolery, and it is in her Wrath base. Her Wrath base is 80% superwash Blueface Leicester, 20% bamboo. And it's fingering weight. It's 435 yards, 100 gram, and the colorway is Heather. And it was meant to resemble the fields of heathers from the Scotland, so kind of like in accordance to Outlander. Sorry, I actually had to think about that, Outlander. So it's just beautiful purples. I don't usually go for purples. I'm not a big fan of purple at all. Mauve, yes, love this color. Purple, I'm not the greatest fan of it, but Mom really likes purple, so I thought it would be great if for her birthday, which is in July, I would attempt to make her another pair of socks, or maybe a one skein shawl and fingering weight, just something lovely, because it's Blueface Leicester, bamboo. I think that'll hold up really, really well. So in terms of future projects and acquisitions, that is it, except for the yarn I ordered from Petra. But that is really it from me today. I hope that you guys are great and that you continue to be great and that you just craft on, people, craft on. Thank you so much for joining me today in this little corner of the internet. And if you liked the video, then please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to keep chatting with me every 2 weeks, then by all means, please hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to join all the lovely cows that are popping up here and there. And yeah, just have a very, very happy crafting couple of weeks, guys. Bye! Hi, fellow